So Ice Sparkle was started in 2015, and so I was 11 years old. And so what happened was I go to India every year with my family because my family's from there. And one year I went, and my aunt actually works in a school that teaches underprivileged children English. So I decided that I wanted to go and work with her one year. So she let me come. And when I walked into the slum, it's like you hear about things going on in third world countries, but you never fully understand what it is. So when I walked into the slum as an 11-year-old, it was just like the most appalling experience for me. And it was really hard for me to see because they were kids my age, they were kids my brother's age, who were living in these such horrible conditions, who they're normal kids, but they don't have what I have, and it was really hard to see. So I worked with them all summer, and then obviously school started, so I had to come back to LA. But I felt really horrible just living my life and going to my private school in LA when there are kids back in India who are not able to do any of this stuff, and they're normal kids like me. So I decided that I want to start and help these kids from LA. So I started Ice Sparkle, and the reason I named it Ice Sparkle is because when I it's kind of cheesy, but when I went to India, all of the kids had like a sparkle in their eye, like a hopeful, they're hopeful and they want to, embark and, have a normal life. And of course they have hopes and everything. Sorry about that. And so we've done a lot of projects with Ice Sparkle since, with the help of Berkeley Hall. So our first project that we did was that I raised money to get shoes for these kids, because essentially the only shoes that they have are like flip-flops or shoes that have holes in them. So they're walking around in like the dirt, and there's infections, and it's cold. The winters in India, especially Delhi, which is where I taught, they're known for their notorious winters. So it's like hard for them to be able to focus on their education when they're cold and their feet are hurt. And so I decided to get them shoes. So we raised money, and we partnered with a shoe store in India called Bata, which they sent their representatives to the slums, and they gave them a fitting of shoes, and then they gave them shoes, and they were so happy for it. It made me really happy how happy they were for them. And then the next thing that we did was we gave warm clothes, which Berkeley Hall helped us with during the Diwali festival, which we usually have every year. We had an Ice Sparkle box, and people brought in clothes, warm clothes, jackets, and stuff like that, hats, socks, and it really warmed my heart, no pun intended, how happy those clothes made them. They were so happy because, again, the winters in India are notoriously cold. So to see them in warm clothes, I mean, that's what Ice Sparkle does. It's trying to eliminate the obstacles that these kids already have to getting an education. So I think having warm clothes are easier, it's a lot easier for them to focus, in the winters when they have warm clothes. So we raised 11 boxes of clothes from Berkeley Hall because of this, which was just amazing. And then we had some people from Berkeley Hall students come over, and we all packed them in boxes and sent them off. And then the next project we did was school supplies. They also don't have many school supplies, or very limited ones, or not, very good ones. So we raised the notebooks, some like pens, papers, pencils, all that stuff, so that it's easier for them to be able to, have writing utensils, but, so that they can have their education, it's a lot easier for them. And then with Berkeley Hall, we also did that. And then the book drive was one of the biggest things that we did with Berkeley Hall for Ice Sparkle. We raised enough, so many books, that we were actually able to start a small library in a slum in one of the schools in India. And books are so important to be able to, connect with the language, which is English, which is very important to learn in India. And so getting those books was really great for them, because, books are expensive. And so they have access to, and to further the education and further their love for this language.
What challenges did you face when you were starting out Ice Sparkle?
Yeah, so being 11 years old was sort of a daunting thing, to be able to want to make a change, but it's so hard when you're 11 and you're people telling you you're 11, there's people who want to make a change and they're older than you and they can't even do it. What are you going to do? But what actually helped me overcome that was the Difference Maker series at Berkeley Hall, because there was people. I was like you guys. I was sitting in Hodges, or not. They were obviously not sitting in Hodges right now, but when we were at school and I was sitting in Hodges, and I used to like see the difference makers people, talk about it, and it inspired me because I there were kids my age who were coming to speak about the differences that they had been able to make, and I was like, wait, if they can do it, then I can do it too. So that really taught me that there should be nothing that can stop you, and that if I really wanted to make a change, that I would be able to. So the difference maker series at Berkeley Hall was, I don't think I would have been able to do I Sparkle if it wasn't for the difference maker series.
Who is your role model? Who do you like look up to?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of role models in my life, like my mom, my teachers at Berkeley Hall. I have a lot of role models that like were able to inspire me to do this, but I think the main one was my aunt who works in the slums in India. She had been a teacher her whole life. Um, and so she retired, and instead of, doing nothing, she decided that she wanted to teach again, but not to, kids at some like school that everyone is able to go to, but kids at a slum that don't have the same privileges of having amazing teachers. And she's an amazing teacher. So her, like, and it's hard. She's older, so to be able to go to the slums and, sacrifice her time, even though she's retired, she has nothing to gain from this, but just her compassion really showed me that you can do anything you want to do, and helping people really is the greatest gift.
What were some of the obstacles that you faced while starting iSparkle? And what were also some opportunities?
Some of the obstacles that I faced were more like emotional obstacles, like just having to be there and just see what was going on. It's really hard to be in that situation and to see what's going on with these kids. It's difficult to see and to watch, and just I think helping them is the best thing that sort of helped me overcome that obstacle. Just really seeing them be happy from the stuff that I give them, from the stuff that Berkeley Hall gives them. It makes that it, like just like once when we went to India to deliver the books and to deliver the warm clothes, and to deliver the shoes. They were dancing with the shoes on. They were like doing the can with their shoes on, and it was so cute. And they gave me, like, when they got the warm clothes, they were like talking with their friends and like trying on the clothes, and it's just the best thing to see. And also every year when I leave India, they write me cards, and like really nice handwritten cards. I could show you some if you want to like see some of the cards that I've gotten from the kids. I can show you right now. These are some of the cards that they had written for me, and these are like the most special things that I have from them, and they're really dear to my heart. And they're so creative and like nicely drawn. I keep them in my room. It's just like a reminder to keep going and be hopeful, and it's my favorite things ever. So these are what keep me going and what make me like so happy to be able to do this. Um, and I really love them. So I think this is what like the best thing about doing this is.
Who helps you with your business besides your great aunt?
Um, my mom helps me so much. She comes a few times with me to the slums in India when I go with my aunt, but she has been such like so kind in helping me like with this, because I when I told her I wanted to start something in LA, she wasn't like, oh no, Mira, you're too young, we don't want to do that. She was like, okay, perfect, let's do it. And so she's always been like there for me, and she's been helping me find opportunities, and she helped me connect with Berkeley Hall to be able to do all this stuff. So it definitely, my mom plays a big role in iSparkle, and I'm really grateful for her for that.
When you get all the donations to Delhi, how does the distribution work? How does it determine who gets and who doesn't get?
Yeah. So usually we ship the boxes over to my grandma's house in Delhi. And then when we get there, we load up the cars and we go into the schools. And my grandma, my great aunt, she teaches like a certain amount of students. So it's 11 boxes, and there's a whole school. The school that I used to work at was called the Shanti Devi Charitable Trust in Vasant Vihar in Delhi. And so it's a little school there. So there's enough kids that all the stuff was able to distribute to them evenly.
What is the age range of the kids you work with, and what do you teach them about Indian culture?
So in my Hindi classes, which I teach in LA, I the age range is about 5 to 11. So they're smaller than me, and I teach them how to read Hindi, how to write Hindi, and how to speak Hindi, which I can do. And I feel that a lot of Indian kids are not really aware of how to do that, and I want to share them my culture because I love it so much, and I want to make them love it so much. And so parts of the culture that I also like talk about a lot in my classes are make them watch Bollywood movies because when I was a kid, that was my favorite thing. And that really helped me get immersed in the culture. I teach them about Indian foods and like different states in India because India is such a diverse country. There's so many different states and they're so different. I teach them about clothes, like different Indian clothes, because again, every state has different kinds of clothes. There's different cultures in every like part of India. So I don't just focus on one state. I go to every state. So they're really immersed in the entire culture and the entire country. Namaste, Karan. आप कैसे हो?
नमस्ते अमीरा दीदी मैं ठीक हूँ आप कैसे हो
मैं ठीक हूँ, शुक्रिया.
Karan, what are some of the most interesting things you've learned about so far?
I have learned to count in Hindi. I love learning animals. I love reading and writing Hindi, especially when we do our Kahoot games.
How has learning Hindi and about Indian culture impacted your life?
Indian culture has impacted my life because I can now speak with my family and people in my community. I can connect with them more.
Can you say something in Hindi, Karan?
मेरा नाम करण है आप कैसे हो That means my name is Karan and how are you?
What is it like to work with Amira?
It is really fun when we play Kahoot games because we get to compete and have fun with other kids in our class. I like that we are reading and writing in Hindi. My dad is like, you already know how to read and write in Hindi? That should take you like another year or so. I like that she taught us the national anthem and the Bollywood dance.
And what is your favorite Bollywood movie, Karan?
It's hard to say, but I like Om Shanti Om, Dil Chata Hai. I like Amar Akbar Anthony. There's more, but that's all I could think of right now.
Great. Thank you so much, Karan.
What are you doing here in LA since you can't go to Delhi, and how can we help?
So in LA, as I said before, I started teaching Hindi classes. And with these Hindi classes, I've raised money, which I'm eventually going to put into iSparkle, which is going to fund headphones for students who are living in underprivileged neighborhoods in Los Angeles because of the pandemic. Obviously everyone's on Zoom, and as we know, Zoom is already so hard to focus on than it is in regular school. And to have that extra layer of living in smaller houses where there's one or two or more people who are doing Zoom school, and to have that noise, it's like 10 times harder for them to focus, and they're not able to get the best out of their education that we are able to, because they don't have the means to be able to do that. So even for us, like headphones might seem like such a small thing, for them it can really make such a huge difference. So what I'm doing in LA is where I'm going to buy headphones that are $10 each. And the reason that there's $10 is because they need to have a certain amount of requirements, that they need to have working, headphones to be able to hear, obviously. And it needs to have a mic so that they're able to become active participants in their classes. So they're really getting the best out of their education, which is what iSparkle is all about. It's about sort of taking away the obstacles that underprivileged children have, and that's hindering them from getting the best of their education so that they can go get the best of their opportunities and live the best life that they want to live. So how you guys can help, if you'd like to donate to be able to give headphones to these children, is you can visit my website, isparkleinc.com, and you can message me on the website if you have any questions, and there's a donate button. So if you want to donate, you can donate to that. And they're $10 each per each headphone. So I am currently talking to a couple of schools that are in LAUSD. I have a meeting with one tomorrow. and we are working out the logistics of sending them to these families. Right now, we're looking at about 100 to 150 families that are going to get these headphones right now. But that is the money that we have right now. But hopefully with the more donations, we'll be able to get maybe like even 200 students, families that are able to get these headphones.
Imagine we're in Hodges, and you see all these kids looking up at you, and they're inspired. But what else would you tell them to inspire them even more?
I would say that I was once also a student in Hodges listening to the Difference Maker series, and it helped inspire me so much that there really is not, like, if you want to do something and if you really believe that you can do it and you put your heart to it and you work hard, there's nothing that can stop you. There's nothing that can stop you. So if you want to make a change in the world and you really believe that you can, you just do it, okay? If people are telling you you can't do it, don't listen to them. You do what your heart wants you to do, and you're gonna be able to do it. You wanna make a change in the world, you can make a change in the world. It doesn't matter how old you are. I was 11, you can do it.